Hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour this week. Joey, good to see you.
Good afternoon.
Good
or
afternoon.
Morning.
How is lockdown treating you? School holidays as well?
I just feel like some immortal behaviour has to be done at my house. I just feel like necking a few, maybe many. School holidays, kids a lot of energy, father who can't sit still. The walls are just sort of coming in.
What a combination.
Not good.
How entertaining.
Not really. Yeah. Pacing. You know, you get horses that pace the box, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a pacer.
Is that you just constantly?
Well, you know when horses get in their, what do they call it, their box or something, and they pace and they put a goat in with them.
Yeah.
Oh, I need a goat. If anyone's got a goat, can you bring it to my joint?
I feel like Freddie would have one that he could loan you.
No, he's got llamas.
Oh no, Billy's got the goats. Billy's got the goats. They're in Melbourne though.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you one.
I prefer a mountain goat.
All right, well, let's get started on some footy. And Nathan Cleary in particular, how impressive was he for New South Wales in the fact that he played through a busted shoulder? And when they asked him to come off, he said no.
No, well, I didn't even see the incident. I saw the second half when he went in for a tackle and grabbed it. But it just goes to show what it means to all the players playing at the moment. Even with 20 to go, the game was won. You'd think Nathan would put his hand up and go off, but just says so much about the group and what Freddie's built there.
Well, with Nathan out of game 3, who would you have to come in to replace him?
Well, there's players. Jack Whiten's in there at the moment, but Jack, without being too technical, is a left side player. And Jerome Luai's a left side player. They both kick with their left foot. Cody Walker's exactly the same. So for me, there's two guys. There's Adam Reynolds and there's Mitchell Moses, which are pretty much, their attributes are pretty much very similar. Both goal kickers, great kicking game, can organise. The only thing I think going in Mitchell's favour is his age, where he's probably going to be knocking on the door for 8 years moving forward, where Adam's probably coming to the end. So I think Mitchell Moses got his nose in front.
What is it that you like about him the most over
Mitchell?
Yeah, and is it a lot to do with this year and how much he's improved at the Eels?
I think so. I think he deserves his shot. And I think the way he's controlling the team, the way he's controlling his emotions, just seems like the game's slowed down a little bit for him. I think it's going to be a test Friday night against Penrith. If he has a really big game then, in a high-intensity game, I think they'll pick him.
And how do you think that combination would go with Luai, those two matching up?
Well, it's up to Mitchell to get into the structure of Isaiah Yeo and also Jerome Luai. So it's about not Mitchell imposing himself on the team, it's about Mitchell coming in and doing his role like Nathan Cleary has been. So Nathan, first 2 games, he's been an out-and-out first receiver. So we need to replace what Nathan's doing with an out-and-out first receiver and an out-and-out number 7.
Well, you work with Mitch Moses a lot. Do you find some similarities with him and Nathan at all? Like even personality-wise?
No, not really.
No, completely different.
Well, Nathan's sort of cold, ice cold, where Mitchell Moses is, pretty much your stereotypical halfback. He's extroverted, he's cheeky, he's energy, that sort of stuff. So they're quite different, but it'd be interesting to see how Mitchell goes, considering I'll work with him, and may or may not be a bonus in there for me if Mitchell plays Origin.
Oh, really?
No, I'm joking, I'm joking. That might help Immortal Behaviour at home, actually. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I'm only joking. Although I'm not in the salary cap, is it?
It's good to put on your resume.
I'm only joking.
Becoming an Origin player under the coach.
Under the wing. Watch that wing.
All right, well, with the Origin wrapped up, New South Wales obviously winning, let's look ahead to the World Cup at the end of the year. What would your starting 13 be for Australia?
Well, I'd be going on the Origin, where Origin, it has to be a trial for the Australian team, and it's pretty much all the New South Wales guys. I've got Tedesco, the back 5 pick himself, Tedesco, Addo-Carr, Latrell, Turbo on the centre, To'o on the wing. As long as Brian wants to play for Australia, not Samoa. The halves are Munster and DCE with Nathan's shoulder. I doubt he'll be playing. And I think Munster deserves his spot. Front row, New South Wales. Safidi, Cook, Junior Paula, Cam Murray, Tarek Sims. Sorry, Ashton. You fell off your chair. If Tarek wants to play for Australia or he wants to play for Samoa, same with Junior Paula. Isaiah Locke, and on the bench I got Jack Whiten, Angus Crichton, Payne Haas, Jake Trebojevic.
So that's pretty much all of New South Wales except for the halves.
The halves. But if you're going on form, on rep form, and even club form, you got to pick all the New South Wales guys, pretty much. But, Munster and DCE in the halves.
What do you, for playing for Australia, what do you look at? Do you look at more club form or do you look at origin form?
I think both. And then coming into the end of the year, the teams that go deep into the semi-finals have a huge advantage because teams that don't make the semis between last round and a World Cup to start with, it might be a month, 6 weeks of not playing footy. So, most of those players I've mentioned are going to go deep into the semi-finals, except probably for Tarek Sims, maybe Jack Whiten, and Payne Haas. The rest of them are going to go deep. So, yeah, that's my team.
Do you look at club combinations as much for Australia? I know we talk about them a lot for Origin, but do they not mean as much?
No, I think it's important, but you look at the team I've picked. DCE and Munster have played together. I think they would have played with Damien Cook. So Tedesco, honestly, he could play with my brother and he'd still play well. That's saying something. But it's a pretty red-hot team. But as if there's going to be a World Cup at the end of the year. No chance.
Well, there's going to be a lot of... Imagine planning that. Imagine trying to plan that.
No.
You wouldn't want that job.
No.
Imagine even trying to plan the NRL at the moment.
No. No
Too
thanks.
stressful.
Mm.
All right, well, let's get back on Origin. Sterlo said on Monday that he would not play Reece Walsh in a dead rubber game 3. What are your thoughts on that? Would you give him a shot?
No, I wouldn't give him a shot. A few people were vocal about it. I think myself was vocal. He's only 18. He's played 7 games. He's got a bit of a hamstring problem. Just let him develop physically, whether his body's up to that, and then the playing and then backing up, but also, mentally it's a big ask for a young guy. So I just think let him go another 18 months, 12 months preparing for this. He's going to be a 10-year Origin player, we can see that, but just give him time.
Well, looking ahead, looking future-wise for Queensland, Sam Walker, when do you think he comes into the picture?
Same thing, maybe next year, maybe, but just let him develop his game. He's still working out his game at club level. Look, we all see his prodigious talent. I just love the way he plays. But just give him time to develop his game and physically work on his body. It seems quite diminutive, so he needs to physically work on his body. But moving forward, 2, 3, 4 years' time, you got Harry Grant, you got Sam Walker, and then you got Reece Walsh. So pretty handy players coming through.
How detrimental do you think it can be for a player if you blood them too early?
Yeah, it can. We've seen that in New South Wales over the years where they blooded young players and some haven't recovered. So, it's just such a different monster, State of Origin. It's a different game. So you've got to be ready to go. And, when that knock on the door comes with 2 minutes to go, if you got any chinks in your armour, it starts to play out now.
Who do you think in particular New South Wales blooded too early?
I think Jared Mullen was one back in the day. They blooded him and there was a lot of pressure on Jared. I think it took him maybe a while to get over that. Can't really think on the top of my head, but he's probably the one that stands out.
Yeah. All right, well, thinking of this in terms of you being a massive Knight supporter, would you want to see Kalyn Ponga play game 3?
It's a tough one. I understand he's trained really well this week with his groin. It's probably the first time he's actually put it under any pressure with running. I don't think he's run for 6 weeks. Look, if he's fit, maybe, but I'd hate for him to risk it because he's so important for the Knights. And if they scrape into the semis this year, it'll be on the back of Kalyn and Mitchell Pearce, so maybe not.
That's the thing, it's a game that the series has already been won. Imagine because it is a groin, it
Yeah.
can be.
Well, they carry you can. I reckon I carried my groin for 12, 18 months. And it'd be right, it'd come good, and then I'd wake up one morning and it'd be just busted again, and it's debilitating. You cannot sprint, you cannot do your weights. It's such an awful injury. So I hope he looks after it, and because we need him up there at Newcastle desperately.
Knights officials, you can imagine they'd be keen for him not to.
Well, the thing is, people from the outside in look at it, and I can understand they call it a dead rubber, but it's not a dead rubber. Every time you play Origin Special, and especially this year with New South Wales, like when you got the dagger that far in, maybe twist it a little bit more and maybe go a little bit more. And for New South Wales to win 3-0 with 2 games being played in Queensland would be a massive, massive achievement.
What were your thoughts on Cameron Munster, game 1 and game 2?
Look, he's been quiet without a doubt, but he's playing on the back foot. Their forwards have been smashed. New South Wales middles, Haas, Junior Paulo, Daniel Safudi. Daniel Safudi's been playing unbelievable. They just smashed him in the middle. And the back 5 for New South Wales, Tedesco, Fox, Trell, Turbo, Toe, they were all running for over 150 metres. And if you look at Queensland's back 5, they were running 80, 90, maybe 100, 120. So we just smashed them at the ruck. And when you're getting smashed at the ruck, it's hard to carry your team, but that's the next challenge for Munster. Wally Lewis did it. Darren Lockyer could do it, where his team was getting smashed, but he carried them. So that's Munster's challenge. Do
you feel when people are saying that he underperformed, do you think that that's fair? Do you think that there's some truth to it?
No, I think it's fair. He has to find a way to impose himself on the game when things aren't going well. The players I mentioned, Wally Lewis, there's only going to be one king at Origin, but he would get them home when they were on the back foot. Darren Lockyer was the same. He could drag the team along with him. That's what Munster has to find. He was
quite blunt in his halftime interview with Darren Lockyer. He said some home truths. Do you think that was a good look, or do you think?
No, I think he's been honest. And there was times when they would go to an edge when you hear him talking about shape and formation and all this. But when they had bodies in motion, they had guys overrunning the play by 5-10 metres, which at that level you never see. And look, I blame the halves, but I also blame Valentine Holmes, because as a halfback, you're organising your gang. So you're talking to the hooker and you're talking, to your middles. But then from out wide, they're relaying to you. So then Munster's relaying to DCE, and then, Valentine Holmes has got to be talking to Daly and Munster. But it was breaking down. So those 3 players weren't on the same page. And also Andrew McCulloch, his service from dummy half was a bit dodgy. So their spine just didn't combine at all. Yeah. Not at all.
But I think that one of the things that makes Cameron Munster such a likeable character is his honesty.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was right. I thought Daly got his words mixed up when they interviewed him, and he said they lacked motivation. Look, it's probably the wrong word to use, and I just think in the heat of battle, he got that wrong. But Munster, he was right, and he's honest, so good on you.
Is it hard to think that, it was 7 months ago that they had that incredible series win?
Well, Munster played hungover.
Yes.
Might be something in that, Munster. But last year was was one where I think there should be an asterisk. It was the end of the year. They've all been in the bubble. Game 3, they pretty much ambushed New South Wales up there, but it didn't even feel like Origin last year.
If New South Wales won, would you have an asterisk last year?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
All right, well, a big weekend ahead. I'm on the way up to Newcastle this afternoon. That's the Roosters and the Storm. Should be a good game.
I've been talking to some mates. They're all going to the footy. They might get 15,000 there. It just goes to show how much they love rugby league. Please put the Origin up there. It'd be unbelievable.
It would be.
I think the Storm will flex their muscles tonight. I think Munster's been, he's been given a hard time in the media, and as I said, he didn't play great. So I think he'll go out and make a statement, and I just think the Storm win.
And what about tomorrow night? You got your... We're heading out to Penrith.
I'm out at Penrith, yeah.
You got your thermals.
I got my thermals.
Your gloves.
Yep.
Your scarf.
Beanie. I got my Mark Hughes beanie. I think Parramatta can upset the Panthers. Parramatta's in good health. Junior Paulo will back up. Only playing they're missing is Reid Marnie. But I think with no Nathan there, it's going to be a big ask, and big ask on Luai and also Burton. But I just think Parramatta can sneak home.
What do you make of that combination, Burton and Luai?
Oh, they're great young players. He's an incredible talent. Moving forward, look, our halves for New South Wales moving forward with injury, and if they keep their form, will pretty much be Nathan and Luai. But the two players behind them, challenging them, would be Moses and Burton.
Okay.
So they're all on show.
Yeah.
It'll be a great game Friday night. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, enjoy the weekend of footy, and we'll catch you here next week on Immortal Behaviour.